Today we are talking to Mark Shapiro. He is the CEO and founder of Executive Boutique and Select VoiceCom. Let's hear what he has to say.
We've been in business we're having our 11th anniversary come this September. We handle both inbound and outbound call center services as well as back office services. We started in 2008 with a handful of people. We now have about 650 employees, and we seem to be growing just organically by 10 to 20% per year. Some of our biggest clients are outbound lead generation companies, so that makes up a big portion of our market. We've got a lot of experience doing scripting, training, and overall quality assurance to make sure that the product that we put out is solid. Our best clients are clients that are already running call centers in the US, so they know what their function is, and each company has a different function. There's companies that have customer support needs. Their people are calling in to, whether it's software customer support or hardware customer support or something related to healthcare, they've got a call center in place doing it. So we then take that knowledge and apply it. They train us with doing exactly what they're doing in the US, and we can just do it for less expensive, generally more efficiently, and improve their overall bottom line. Other clients are running outsourcing for outbound sales related purposes. Same thing. They essentially train us to do what they're doing in the US. We could do it more effectively, more efficiently, and save them money. The non-voice functions are typically data entry, email support, chat support. A lot of our clients that have taken us on for voice support have then realized our capabilities and added either email, chat, or data entry, sometimes data mining, research functions, report writing, accounting functions even. I think you really have to know what it is you're outsourcing, and that is, if you think you can call an outsourcing company and have them do something that you haven't done, that you don't have experience or expertise doing internally, you're generally not going to be successful. Companies should really know what they're doing, really think about the training that they're going to need to apply to the outsourcing company and to the agents that they hire. And that's really the best way to have success. And also be realistic. Know that day one is not going to be as good as day 10, and day 10 is not going to be as good as day 100. So be patient, but be prepared. We work for a large insurance company who we were qualifying their inbound calls and outbound calls to see who might, and doing live transfers to agents in the US who are actually going to sell the policy. But they then found that once they sell the policy, we have the ability to input all the data that goes into the policy. There's a lot of follow-up that goes on. People need to get doctors, need to have an examination with the doctor, so we follow up with the doctor's office, schedule the visits. We're doing, in addition, some chat support to follow up with people who have already signed up, sending them text messages to follow up with the paperwork and other things they need to do. So it's kind of like a full program that included both voice, chat, email, data entry. We work really closely with the clients. They generally have a process in place. They'll tell us their process, and we will comment on it, do what we can to try to improve that process, whether it's through some sort of automation, through software. Sometimes they don't realize that if you add an extra person who does one particular function, that it can improve the overall performance of the campaign. A lot of our clients have come to us where they, in the past, have worked with companies who had work-from-home agents, or maybe they had work-from-home agents in their own offices in the U.S. That is, they were working with agents in the U.S. working from home. And what they've found is that having people here in the seat, having them managed, having somebody making sure that they have good computers, have good internet, have solid electricity, and just being managed, gets a better outcome. When people are sitting at home, they've got distractions. There's dogs, there's babies, there's neighbors, there's deliveries, and other things like that. So you really can't get that same productivity when somebody is just really focused, sitting there doing nothing but what they're supposed to be doing. Each team is managed by a team leader. Typically, the team leader wouldn't manage more than 15 or so people. We have several clients that have teams that are over 100 people. So those have obviously multiple team leaders, and then they would have a campaign manager who's managing the team leaders. Typically, there's also a quality assurance team that are listening to calls, making sure everyone's doing what they're supposed to be doing. Some campaigns have what we call subject matter experts who roam the floors. Agents would raise their hand, let them know they have a question. Somebody comes over there, asks the question, or answers the question right away. So that's kind of a typical structure for a larger campaign. Smaller campaigns that might have 5 to 10 people would only have one team leader, but then they're supported by our overall structure. We have an operations manager. We do have trainers and quality assurance people. They're just not full-time dedicated to that one account. We have for telephone, for voice campaigns, we have several different software platforms that we use. We use InContact through RingCentral. We use RingCentral independently. We have a dialer called Dialing Innovations. It really depends. We're PCI compliant, and there's certain software that can only be used in a PCI compliant environment, because not only does your center need to be PCI compliant, but the software that you're using needs to have the compliance as well. For example, if you're taking a credit card number and you're recording the call, the software has to have the ability to pause the recording when the customer is giving the credit card number. Only certain softwares have that capability. So that's a good example of the software that we use. We also obviously work with many different CRMs, Salesforce, Zoho, Zendesk is a ticketing platform we use quite often. Yeah, we work 24/7. Our U.S. clients, typically we have people coming in at 8 p.m. Philippine time, which is 8 a.m. on the East Coast time, but we have calls going out and calls coming in until, let's say, 8 or 9 p.m. California time, which is noon here. But we also have, my partner handles all of our Australian and Asian clients. We have clients in Hong Kong, Singapore, Australia, New Zealand, and as well as the UK. So we have kind of a mid-shift that's the UK, but the day shift here handles the Australian campaigns. Yeah, sure, we have different pricing depending on the services we offer. For non-voice services, we're generally more competitive. For voice services, we typically have 3 different pricing levels depending on the experience and training necessary, the level of accent that's acceptable to the client. We have some clients that the person absolutely needs to sound like they're an American with like little or zero accent. If we're making a call saying, "Hi, I'm calling from Dr. So-and-so's office," or from a hospital, the hospital or the doctor wants them to think, really, they don't want to have any question that call is not coming from their office. Other clients are fine if somebody has a slight Filipino accent. Americans are very used to dealing with customer support agents that do have a little bit of an accent. Everybody that we hire goes through a strict training process. We don't hire anybody that doesn't speak clearly and hasn't passed an English language, the Berlitz written and verbal test. So there's definitely a level of proficiency you need in order to get the job in the first place. It's a little of both. Depends. Some clients already have a very detailed process in place. We just brought on a client that had a 150-page manual, and they knew exactly how they wanted to do it. And we have other clients that it's their first time doing it, so they'll take a draft at writing a script and write frequently asked questions and putting together the process. We'll review it. Typically, we flow chart out the whole process. If it's an outbound campaign, we'll take that script, we flow chart it out using a program called Lucidchart. That script then gets programmed into the dialer, so the agents literally click through the script as they go. Obviously, they memorize the script once they get more familiar with it. Training typically takes anywhere from 2 days to a week or so, depending on the level of complexity of the account. We train in a conference room similar to this with video conferencing. So the agents are able to, or the clients are able to see and talk to the agents, and the agents hopefully can see and talk to the client. Sometimes training is done using GoToMeetings or shared screen software where the agents are looking at the client screen on one screen, maybe a software tool on the other screen, and they kind of work through the process that way. So in 2008, we rented space down the street from where we're sitting now at a building called Skyrise 2, and we ultimately reached about 500 seats in that space. We outgrew it, and we've recently completed 480 seats in the building we're in now, which is the I-1 building here in Cebu IT Park. And I look forward to giving you a tour and showing you around. We have 4 conference rooms and training rooms and 480 seats, as I mentioned. We have a cafeteria and sleeping lounge. We do all of our interviewing here and testing for potential applicants. So we're very excited about being in a nice new space. Certainly compared to the U.S., we generally represent a 60 to 70% savings. The minimum wage in the U.S. and many of the big cities is $15 an hour, and that gets you somebody to sweep the floor at a McDonald's. So, a lot of the jobs that we are doing here are $40,000 and $50,000 jobs in the U.S. Our pricing anywhere from kind of $9 to $11 an hour range is obviously significantly less than that. And it includes a lot of that price is an all-inclusive price. If you were paying somebody $15 or $20 an hour in the U.S., that doesn't include taxes and benefits and the management and the fact that you have to rent space and put them in a seat. So typically it's twice whatever. If you're paying somebody $15 in the U.S., it's probably costing you $30 an hour to actually have that person. So to replace it with an all-in at $10 an hour is obviously a huge savings. In terms of nearshore, the Caribbean or South America or Central America, we're generally, we used to be probably 10 or 20% less. I would say it's probably parity in terms of pricing. I think a lot of the clients that we've worked with who have also worked in Mexico or Costa Rica find that the Philippines, the work ethic is a little bit better. The ability to ramp up is better. But certainly those are viable options as well and real competition for us. So we are one of, I would imagine, just a handful of companies that have true PCI compliance. And what that means is we're able to process credit card transactions in a way that really is compliance. PCI compliance can be done through a self-certification process, which isn't real. It's really just a person answering a bunch of questions on the computer, and they say they're PCI compliant. But true PCI compliance requires a third-party auditor who comes in. They do penetration testing to your firewall. They look at all your processes and procedures. And ultimately, if you're able to pass that test, they deliver what's called an attestation of compliance, sometimes referred to as an AOC. My understanding is there's only 1 or 2 banks in the entire Philippines that can actually deliver an AOC. So it's something that's an advantage for us. We're actually processing the credit cards for the 3rd largest diagnostic laboratory in the country, which is the major vetting process to get that account, and we really hope to expand in that area. We also work with a lot of doctors and hospitals doing things that are HIPAA compliant, so we're able to go through the whole HIPAA certification process. And for anybody who doesn't know, HIPAA is the Health Insurance Privacy Act that you need to keep medical data private. I've been coming to the Philippines for 11 years. I have never had an issue. I've never felt more safe. Statistically, Filipinos like Americans more than Americans like Americans. So it's like any city, you're going to stay in the office parks, the malls, the hotels, the resorts. All of those places are extremely safe. Though you're going to see much more security, physical security. Every building here has a security guard with a gun and a badge, and that you just don't see. You wouldn't go into a Starbucks in the U.S. and see a guy with a gun and a badge, but you're going to see that here. So there's a tremendous amount of physical security. Within our office building itself, everybody passes through, they need to show their ID to get in. To actually enter our floor, you need a thumbprint in just to get into I was taking you were around earlier today, I was explaining that I couldn't even myself get into certain areas just because I hadn't yet been authorized to get in there. So the security is tremendous here, both physical and electronic. So we started out as EB Call Center back in 2008, and that is our American-facing brand. We found that Australia is a slightly different market, and we started Select Voicecom, or for short SVC, and we market under selectvoicecom.com.au, and my partner, who's Australian, focuses on the Australian and the APAC market, and I handle the American and Canadian markets for Executive Boutique, which is ebcallcenter.com.